All right, so is the A5000 still worth buying in 2026? Let's find out.
He's famous.
No, no, I'm not famous.
And I will preface this by saying, do not buy this camera if you need something for video. I recently bought it on Marketplace for $220 US, and it was one of my first cameras ever, so I thought I'd revisit it. I took it on a street shoot with a friend and got some really surprising results, specifically with the vintage lens setup that I have on it. I'll also do a deeper dive on the sensor as I use both the kit lens and then a 35mm full frame prime on this. Let's start first with the vintage lens test on this camera because I think that's where it truly shines in 2026. Vintage lenses are so cool in my opinion because they allow your work to stand out from the noise and everything else that's being posted online right now. I find that like the Fujifilm film emulation and simulations are also similar and people are just like baking in that look on their cameras. But what's so cool about vintage lenses is like you can try different ones and they all have different like characteristics and things about them that make them unique. You definitely get more of a softer and more vintage look out of them, and then it's your choice if you want to add presets or not. Really quick, if you're finding value in this video, it goes a really long way if you could just leave a like. 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much, and let's dive back in. Here's a list of things that you're gonna need to change within your camera or buy in order to have like a vintage lens setup. So the first thing you're gonna need is an M42 to E-mount adapter, which is what I got, and then just make sure the vintage lenses you're buying have that M42 thread. Obviously, you're gonna need a vintage lens for yourself, and my grandfather left me some of his camera gear and I really like a 50mm 1.4. Also, I'll definitely say that because you have that crop in factor of the A5000, a 35mm 1.4 would actually be awesome as well. The next thing is in your camera, you're gonna change your focus peaking to high and then you pick your color. I chose red. Next, in your menu system, there's something called shutter release without lens enabled. And that's just your camera's gonna kind of trip out because you have a vintage lens adapted. It's not gonna know what to do. So just make sure that shutter release is turned on. This is just a personal preference thing, but I like using a histogram instead of the metering for exposure when using my vintage lens. Okay, so what about this sensor test? It's a 20 megapixel aps-c sensor from 2014, so I wanted to do like a little bit of pixel peeping for you and see what I could come up with. So when I zoomed in, I was really impressed with the quality out of this camera, but there was one issue. It was that the noise is a lot more prominent than some of my newer cameras, like my A7 IV, obviously. So you just have to be really careful not to put your ISO too much higher than 800, and this is going to be troublesome in indoor settings. That being said, we have access in 2026 to some really cool and easy denoising tools, so that's fine. And then you can also get like a prime lens or a fast lens. Even like a vintage lens at 1.4 is gonna keep that ISO really low for you within the camera's body, and then it's just gonna help with your overall quality results. These pictures here were shot at an ISO 100 and then an aperture of 1.4. In camera, there's also a noise reduction tool built in, so just play around with that, whether you like that or you just want to leave it off and then deal with that in post. All right, so what are some other pros of this camera? Why would I recommend it to you in 2026 when it's so old? The number one reason for me is if you're just getting into photography and you don't really understand camera settings yet, we're talking like white balance, shutter speed, ISO, aperture, rule of thirds, grids, all that kind of stuff. This is gonna help you enter the market at a really cheap price, play around with some like cheap lenses as well, and then like grow from there. This camera also has a built-in flash, which I absolutely love. Really good for indoor settings. Just make sure that you're using a pancake lens or the kit lens. If the barrel's too long on it, that flash isn't gonna be able to reach and you're gonna get some pretty gnarly shadows. So we all know the A5000 sucks for video, but what if I told you there was a solution? On my latest street shoot with this camera, I took 2 photos, one during the day with the kit lens and then one at night, and I was able to combine them together and get a short film that looks like this.
This is the story of the dancers who lived in the wall. They wanted to step beyond the frame and be seen by us all.
See, it's still my art, my story, and my vision, but it's made with a tool that I didn't have access to before. I know AI creative models get a lot of hate, and rightfully so, they are kind of trippy, but I do think they have the ability to enhance your workflow at least a little bit. Don't worry, I don't think it needs to take away who you are as a creative person or artist. I think that's what we're all worried about, myself included. Danny Gewirtz has a new video talking about his hatred of AI, and I get it. I want to be a true filmmaker. I want like the pain and the process and like that gratification satisfaction of seeing the end result, that's truly what brings me joy. AI is not the root of what Artlist is, but it's just another tool that they give us at our disposal as creators, and that's just something I appreciate. Their music and sound effects will always be the star of the show, but it is really cool that they're giving us the choice to keep up with AI and all these creative models. Again, at the end of the day, it is just a choice. Okay, that's my AI rant. You can check out Artlist for free in the description below. Now back to the video. The next pro is that this camera is E-mount. We talked about the vintage lenses, but also if you just want some native E-mount glass, there are a lot of third-party manufacturers that make really cheap lenses, something like the 28mm Pancake Viltrox. That would be kind of cool. Or you can play around with some like TT Artisan or Sigma or Tamron, and there are just like some really cool options on a budget. Next is size and portability. This is probably one of the smallest interchangeable lens cameras that I can think of. So really cool for travel, just throwing in your bag. And also because of the price, it's easy to just like throw in and not worry about so much. It also has a flip up screen, which is kind of cool for lower angle shots, which I like doing a lot. So it also like articulates up so you could go like selfie, but unless you had like a wide lens, I don't see that being like too useful, and this camera sucks for video. So I just use it for lower angle photography. The a5000 has a really simple menu system to navigate through, which is really cool. And another thing about it is like ergonomically, because it's so small, that is kind of challenging, but it does have a capable grip. I'm not gonna say like it's super deep or like super ergonomic, but there is something there. Lastly, it is a camera from 2014, but it does have a 20 megapixel sensor that shoots RAW, and that's good enough for me when I like to just like play around in Lightroom with those RAW images and push and pull colors and highlights and shadows. So before we talk about the verdict, I just want to bring up some of the cons, because this camera is obviously not without its faults. It has 4 frames per second in terms of burst shooting. It has no hot shoe. It has no viewfinder. The LCD screen at times can be hard to see in sunlight. The autofocus system is obviously dated and not great, but they did improve it in the a5100, I think like a year later. But that's why I highly recommend vintage lenses. 1, because of the price, 2, because of the look, and then 3, you don't even have to rely on the autofocus at all. The next one is a big one, and it's battery life. So these batteries are so tiny. And then also if you're buying this used, you probably have like a really aged and dated and exhausted battery. So I would say go to Amazon and find like a 2-pack for super cheap, and that's just gonna like save you lots of headaches. And lastly, this thing is just bad for video. Okay, so what's the verdict? What's my recommendation? Who should be picking this up in 2026? I think if you find an a5000 or a5100 like within like 30 bucks of each other, I'd probably go to the a5100, to be honest, probably just because slightly better video, and then a5100 has like better autofocus, a lot more autofocus points. That being said, if you're buying one of these for a vintage lens setup and adapter, I actually think either one would be completely fine. If you're someone who just has fun with photography, not looking to make money at all, I think you're absolutely gonna love that. But then on the other side of it, if you're like thinking or toying with the idea of becoming a photographer, I definitely think that like a year or 2 with this camera would allow you to just like get so good at photography that you could upgrade your body later. 2 years ago, I did a comparison of the a5000 to the a5100 and a6000. So if you're interested in that, it's a super dated video, but feel free to check that out here.